What's up, Vikings Nation? Brace yourselves, because today's Minnesota Vikings news could shake the foundation of this roster in a way we haven't seen in years. We're talking about potential cuts that could redefine the identity of the Vikings before free agency even begins. And yes, some of the names being floated are massive. Imagine waking up tomorrow and seeing that key veterans are gone, cap space cleared, and a whole new direction underway. That's the reality being discussed right now as analysts from NFL.com and The Athletic point toward major roster decisions. This is roster cut season, and the Minnesota Vikings are right in the middle of the storm. Stay with me because what I'm about to break down isn't just rumor, it's strategic, financial, and potentially franchise-altering. By the end of this video, you're going to have a clear picture of what could happen, why it might happen, and whether the Vikings should actually pull the trigger. The first shocking name tied to cut discussions is defensive tackle Hockenson Hargrave. The Athletic recently labeled him as the Vikings' most logical cut candidate, and NFL.com followed that up. When two major outlets align like that, you know there's real smoke. Hargrave was brought in to bolster the defensive front, add veteran presence, and anchor the interior. But with free agency less than 3 weeks away and Minnesota sitting deep in the red financially, tough decisions are looming. Cap flexibility might outweigh loyalty. The Vikings are reportedly around $40 million over the cap, and that number alone explains why these conversations are happening. This isn't about emotion, it's about survival and smart team building. And Hargrave's contract makes him a realistic financial lever. But it doesn't stop there. Running back Aaron Jones has also been labeled as a cut candidate. That one hits differently, doesn't it? Jones brought explosiveness and leadership when he arrived in Minnesota. According to NFL.com's Matt Okada, Jones struggled in 2025 compared to earlier standards. He posted a career-low 4.9 yards per touch and scored just 3 touchdowns in 12 games. For a back who thrives on burst and big plays, those numbers stand out. He also averaged only 2.8 yards after contact per carry and had a 9.1% explosive run rate, both career lows. For a player who turned 31 in December and relies on speed, those metrics raise concerns about long-term sustainability. Now here's the financial side. Cutting Jones would free up $6.8 million in cap space. For a team sitting over $40 million in the red, that's significant. It's not just pocket change, that's flexibility to maneuver in free agency. And let's be honest, Vikings fans have quietly expected this possibility for months. Running backs age quickly in the NFL, and Minnesota hasn't featured a true bell cow since Dalvin Cook dominated back in 2021. If Jones were released, the Vikings would likely pivot toward youth. Could Jordan Mason step into an RB1 role full-time? Maybe. But the front office might want something more dynamic, something explosive. Looking at potential free agent replacements, names like Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker III, and Javonte Williams pop up. Those are younger, explosive backs who could reset the timeline. And in the 2026 draft, Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame is viewed as the crown jewel of the class. But here's the catch, he may not make it past the top 12 picks. Would the Vikings invest that high in a running back? Now let's talk about the most controversial name, T.J. Hockenson. T1 for 4 straight seasons. A former Pro Bowler. A cornerstone of the passing attack, at least he was. From 2022 to 2023, Hockenson delivered 155 catches for 1,479 yards and 8 touchdowns. He looked like one of the elite tight ends in football. That 4-year, $66 million extension seemed like a bargain at the time. But since the start of 2024, production has dipped, 92 catches, 893 yards, and 3 touchdowns over 25 games. That drop-off is noticeable, and critics argue the cap hit no longer matches the output. In 2026, Hockenson carries a $21.3 million cap hit, the highest at his position league-wide. The Vikings could save $8.9 million by releasing him before June 1st, or a massive $16 million as a post-June 1 cut. Context matters, though. In 2025, Minnesota often used Hockenson in a blocking-heavy role. Add inconsistent quarterback play from J. McCarthy, Max Brosmer, and Carson Wentz, and you start to see the bigger picture. Was Hockenson declining, or was he underutilized in a struggling offense? That's the real debate, because talent doesn't just disappear overnight. If the Vikings moved on from him, they'd need a new T1 immediately. Free agent names like Noah Fant, Isaiah Likely, David Njoku, Kyle Pitts, and Dallas Goedert are intriguing, but none come cheap. The draft could offer Kenyon Sadiq in round 1, but rookie tight ends rarely dominate right away unless they're first-round talents. Development takes time, and the Vikings would need patience. And here's another wrinkle. Other potential cut candidates include center Ryan Kelly and defensive tackle Jonathan Allen. Kelly could even consider retirement, adding more uncertainty. So Vikings Nation, this is where we stand. Cap pressure, veteran contracts, tough choices, continuity versus flexibility. These are the moments that define front offices and shape championship windows. Now I want to hear from you. If you had to choose, would you cut Aaron Jones for cap relief? Would you gamble on moving on from Hockenson? Or do you restructure contracts and keep the core intact? Drop your takes in the comments, because this is the kind of Minnesota Vikings news that demands debate. The purple future is being shaped right now. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the latest Vikings rumors and analysis, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with every Vikings fan you know. Let's keep building this community and stay locked in for every breaking Minnesota Vikings update. Skol!